Jimmie, you there?
Yeah, what's up, man? What's going on?
What's going on, brother? How are you,
What's
man?
up, brother?
I'm
Jimmie
good.
Rivera, who is making his bare knuckle fighting debut on June 24th at BKFC 26, joins the show. Very excited to have you on the show. How are you feeling, my friend? This is bare knuckle fighting. This is a crazy thing that you're doing. I know that it's not, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I don't know if bare knuckle people want you to call it crazy, but from the perspective of an MMA fan, when they used to talk about MMA like human cockfighting and talk about how dangerous and scary it is, when I watch BKFC, I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is like fucking terrifying. Should I not be terrible? Am I just a pussy? Why do I feel this way when I see it initially? I want to fucking like, I genuinely want to, I wish the best for fighters, and I see it and I go, this is really, really brutal.
I mean, I can't call you a pussy. I don't know you well enough yet, but I don't know, man. I think the fucking beginning, I don't think it's as bad. You know what I mean? Compared to like beginning of UFC where there was no fucking weight classes and all this crazy shit they would do and the rounds were unlimited rounds. Like, I think that was fucking crazy for people to get in there. That shows you, you know, how tough, you know, mankind was those years, not even that long ago, how tough it was and how over the years now it's softened up a little bit compared to like, all right, it's an unlimited round. Weight classes, fuck weight classes. We don't need weight classes. You want to wear wrestling shoes? You want to do that? No, just don't bite and don't hit the person in the nuts. Like, that was the fight.
No, the initial rules,
you can kick them in the head while they're down on the floor. No problem. Go ahead, do it.
If you remember,
they used to let you kick in the nuts at the beginning. Yeah, they were.
There was the Keith Hackney versus Joe Son fight where he was punching the shit out of his balls, and that's how he actually won the fight. And that was completely legal. But you're right about that's an interesting point, because you're right about that. The original UFC, it was bare knuckle and it was bare shins and bare ankles, and nobody really knew what they were doing, and there was no clear-cut rule, so it was way more dangerous. And I agree with that. So you're saying this is more evolved than that, obviously. What do you talk to me just a little bit about, you know, your skills and how it's going to translate to bare knuckle, and how do you I mean, I'm assuming you just have to you know, spar with regular boxing gloves. Where do you prepare in any sort of bare knuckle sparring scenario?
Nah, man, we do. So we're not just, we do both the MMA, like the practice gloves with the cushion, and we do the boxing gloves as well. Especially getting close to the fight, we'll switch to boxing gloves just so, you know, you don't want to get a cut right before a fight and then it opens up and stuff like that. It's the worst thing. I don't wish that on anybody, you know, it sucks. But you know, it typically it's actually, I want to say, and I'm not saying bare knuckles easier or anything like that, but for training for it, it's a lot easier than doing MMA fighting. I don't have to worry about kickboxing and wrestling and on the wall wrestling on the fucking ground and MMA ground and pound, all that. All I gotta do is box. It's great. Do a couple of things different. Like, you know, one of the things I did was hitting the bag with wraps on, so I don't beat up my knuckles, you know, and scratch them up, but I can keep hitting it. That was like one of the things I changed. That and a couple of little things here and there. But besides that, that's pretty much it. It's actually very nice and almost, you know, convenient in a way where like you only focus on one art form, and that's boxing, and you could spend so much more time on it. And there's a lot of stuff in boxing. If people really got into boxing, and I train with one or two different boxing coaches just over my years. By my regular boxing coach was Ray Velez. There's a lot of shit you could do in boxing. You know, there's no right or wrong to it. Everybody has a style. You look at all the boxers, professional boxers, from Canelo to Gotti to Cotto, you know what I mean? You got all these guys, you know, even Gervonta Davis too and stuff like that. Everybody got their own style and their own things that they do. So it's definitely one of those things too. It makes it harder too, because now you can't kick to set up something. You can't just resort to your wrestling. You have to set traps up with your hands. So that's definitely a different thing with boxing compared to MMA.
Do you feel any more nervous going into your BKFC debut than your mixed martial arts debut?
Nah, not at all. I mean, my first MMA fight.
Yeah. Well, that's a little different, I guess, because you hadn't fought before.
I mean, I would probably be more nervous in my first MMA fight, just because it's like, shit, I got to be able to stop this guy's takedown. My kicking's got to be better than him. Well, there's a lot more things I guess you could worry about in a way.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I worry about it, but nah, I think it's, you know, going in there, it's just another fight. It's another guy in front of you.
I guess a better way to say would be, are you at all more nervous than just a regular mixed martial arts fight?
No, I think the only thing I'm actually nervous about going in, and I talked about it with people, friends and stuff, teammates, is just fucking up my hands. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? You throw one wrong shot, you throw overhand right and hit the person top of the head with MMA glove. You got some cushion to kind of help your hand there. You do it with a bare knuckle, then you're kind of fucked. There's no cushion there. So that's probably one of the things I'm concerned about. Just, fucking up my hands.
Is that going to change?
Yeah, I remember.
Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
No, I remember Mike Tyson years ago talking about how when he got in street fights, he always tried to not throw punches, and he'd always try to get the guy down and stomp him because he said that was always his fear, was fucking up his hands. And so it was interesting to me to hear Mike Tyson, of all people, being like, I'm trying to not throw punches in a street fight. And I was like, oh, never thought about it like that.
Well, he wasn't getting paid. If he was getting paid to fight, not a street fight, then it's a different story. But those are his money makers. He fucks them up. He's out for a little while. You don't make money with him. So that's the tough thing. That's the same thing with this. You go in there and fight. You break your hand, you're out for a little while. That sucks. I think that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about.
Does that change the way you sort of approach the striking at all? Like, are there certain shots that you're just gonna go for still?
No, man. If I break my hand in the fight, I'm still gonna fight. You can't just fucking lay off. It's a fight, bro. If he's trying to take your head off, I'm trying to take his head off. If I hurt my hand, I'm just gonna keep going with it. Look at my last fight with Pedro Munoz. Have you saw that last fight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, second, third round, I fought on one leg. You know what I mean? The second round was tough, and I definitely gave him a second round. You look at the back of the fight, sometimes it's hard for me to believe that I lost that fight because I thought I had the first and the third, but I know I definitely lost the second. But no, even in that third round, like, it was hard fighting on one leg, chasing him because I was hitting him with good shots and he would run. I'm like, fuck, I can't. I'm like hopping over to him. You know what I mean? But you lose one of your limbs, you keep going.
Yeah.
Do you feel?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Liz. Well, do you feel like this, like you joining this, adds some legitimacy to it? Because I certainly feel that way. I thought when Chad Mendes went over and now you joining over, it's like this is a little bit different to me than the way it felt before, where it was kind of like, not to disrespect any of the other guys in there, but it was guys who had been maybe in the UFC like a long time ago. You going over there, you're a guy who's fought very recently in the UFC and fought pretty much every single top guy in your division in the UFC, including the current champ, former champs, Uriah Faber, like all these big guys. Do you feel like this is going to become a more kind of like a more doable thing for UFC guys to go make money over here?
It could be. I mean, it depends on, person's name and stuff like that and how they're doing. I mean, and the reason why I say that is because it's the paycheck, what the paycheck's going to be. You had some of these guys come over, like between me and then, like, I can think off the top of my head, like Chad was retired for a while. So I think the two people that were still fighting and current was like top of the head, myself and Mike Perry. Like they went from fights to fights. It wasn't like Mike left the UFC and he retired for a bit and then got back into fighting. Like Chad, he kept fighting. He did triad and then he went into bare knuckle. It was the same plan for me. I was supposed to do triad in February and I was supposed to fight my debut in May in bare knuckle against Dat. And he got hurt and now I'm pushing back to June. So I guess, third time's a charm, but it's the same thing. I'm just going to keep it going. I haven't even shut the door on MMA either. I'm like, MMA is still an option to do, whether I do it, with Bellator or PFL or whatever it is, Eagle FC, that's still on the table too as well.
Are they putting the sort of marketing behind it that you like? Are you sort of, and obviously you have to show certain brand loyalty, but do you sort of see, is the writing on the wall? Are they trying to make this a very, very big thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Dave Feldman's awesome dude. We sat down, we talked. I think the two biggest things coming into this is that the pay. Obviously, I got to take care of my family, but then on the same time, there's a game plan. Like, this is who you got to fight, and this is how you get to the title. There's a path there. It's not like when I was in the UFC, I was 5-0. I'm like, all right, I got to fight another guy. Like, can I just get a title fight now? I took out a legend, Uriah Faber. I think, I'm not saying it, I deserve it, but I feel like I kind of earned it already. Like, let's get a title shot in there. So, it was really tough and frustrating with the UFC. We didn't leave on bad terms. I never like to burn any bridges. Never know if I go back or something like that in the future or whatever. But, it got frustrated sometimes where I'm like, listen, I just want to crack at that belt. And again, it's tough. You got a lot of guys in the division, to fight. So it's a tough thing where, I think people got to realize, there's besides, everybody wants to be a UFC fighter, but there are other organizations that you go to as well. And you got to go in there and do your thing. But they could, like look at what's called Chandler. and what he did with Bellator. You know what I mean? And then he went to the UFC. But again, he did great in Bellator. He did a lot. He did well, made good money and stuff like that. Unbelievable fights, you know, a household name. That's cool. That's one of the biggest things is that, like, me with Dave, like, I want to, you know, I want to be able to work with you. And like, it's almost like we're partners and we're like, all right, you promote me, I'm promoting you guys. And that's what I felt going into BKFC.
That's great. And look, I'm very excited to watch it. Like I said, it is very brutal. But I talk to a lot of fighters. I know a lot of fighters, and I just like, it's legitimately, I watch it. I'm like, holy shit, dude. And it actually kind of reverts back to the old UFCs. And I think that's what we all grew up on. Me and Dave Smith, you know, we're old friends from watching those old UFCs. This is when we first became friends. So it was sort of, I love the violence. I love it, but I do just, you know, I do want to see the fighters protected, and I want to see that, you know, everyone's going to have long, exciting, very prosperous careers. Talk to me just a little bit about what the next steps are, man. You obviously, you think you're going to win this fight. Your opponent has a 2-0 bare knuckle record. He's the number 1 ranked featherweight in the division. Is the idea to beat him and then fight for the title?
Yeah, that's what I was told. So that's the goal right there. That, and then going back to, you were saying violent. I mean, how many times have you seen, or if I've experienced it already, ever getting kicked in the face with a shin or a knee? Has that ever happened to you, or ever seen in the UFC?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think's worse?
I get kicked in the leg with a shin pad on. I fall down and I cry like a baby.
So that's what I say. Like, people ask me, like, you worry about getting hit? I'm like, I don't know. I've been kicked in the face with a shin when I fought Jan. I go, I'd rather get punched in the face than get kicked in the face, to be honest with you. All day, every day. I go, it's a lot worse when you get kicked in the face. And I mean, it happened. The on fight kept going. But after the fight, I'm like, oh, my face is fucked up. That sucked. But I mean, It is part of sport. The one thing that I did notice a lot, especially when I went to the fights in Orlando and watching some of the events, is that, you know, it's obviously a lot easier to get cut. And I see a lot of the fights stop, not from the fighter getting knocked out, it's from, you know, the cuts and stuff like that. And the doctors get in, they're like, yeah, no, the fight's done, that cut. And the guys look good. It's just like, it's a bad cut. And they're like, nah, you can't take any more from there. So that's the one thing that sucks. I mean, it happens. You can get cut like that, especially with a bare knuckle, but it's one of the things you hope the doctor doesn't stop it. You know, you finish the fight, you go out and you shield, whatever it is, you know?